Hey guys, it's Brian Howard, and I wanted to come to you with another episode of How to Grow in the Lord. And I've got two major points for you on this today. I kind of coming out of my own personal experience, I'm being reminded of different things to share. Today I had sort of I've been trying to get back into having a daily devotion. I've been working too much at work, and it's been really impacting my sort of devotional life. So I've been working on reinstituting a daily devotion, spending time with the Lord in reading the Bible and in prayer and that kind of thing. So today, this morning I blocked off a good chunk of time to do that, and I just found myself very distracted in my thoughts and in my attention and just all kinds of things. So I was challenged because it wasn't the time that I wanted it to be. It wasn't the time that I've had before, and so that was discouraging, because you're trying to really reach out and reconnect with the Lord, and when you do, you feel like you're failing because of the distraction. But what I'm reminded of from this experience, which I'm glad I can share with you guys, is that I've had this happen many times in the past before. And the lesson that the Lord has taught me over the years on this topic is that no time spent with the Lord is worthless. And so capture that really quick. No time spent with the Lord is worthless. So you don't know what's going on, even if you are distracted but you're trying to reach out and spend time with God. You don't know what God is doing. God's work is very imperceptible sometimes, or it's very sort of long in its approach to producing something that you can see. And so, just like the rest of our Christian faith, we do some of these things based on faith. And so we spend time. It doesn't, isn't it logical that you come to Christ by faith, and that your time with Him would also be by faith, right? Doesn't that make sense? So the principle that you need to really encourage yourself with when you try to spend time with the Lord is that no time spent with the Lord is worthless. Okay? So be encouraged. It's true, and over time you will see that this is true. But as it's happening, for the first time, second time, whatever it may be, you'll have to kind of take it on faith. Okay. And the Bible says that without faith it's impossible to please God, for anyone who comes to Him must believe that He exists, and that He is a rewarder of those that what? Diligently seek Him. So diligence, think of this as when you're working out in the gym, right? You're doing that by faith too, right? Or you're doing something nice for your spouse, or you're studying. You're not going to become a medical doctor in your first class. You might be distracted, you might be discouraged, but you stay with it, right? So your devotional life takes a very similar path as far as it being something that takes development and takes time. Okay, so that's lesson number one for today. I'm going to give you two today, though. The second one also comes from my past, and I think it'll help you. I've kind of shared how I battle with workaholism. I'm in sales, and there's really good reasons for that in the sales world. So I won't dig into that very much right now, but it is true, and I really try to protect my family and my kids from having this run into their time, and so I tend to work at night late so that I'm not sitting there working in front of them in the evening, although I'm known to do that some as well, just to be totally honest. So but anyway, as I was driving to an appointment last week, I was talking to God about how I had lost my last sales job, and it's still a mystery to me why that happened, and I'm not going to go into that on this broadcast. I might in the future, but it's a really crazy thing based on the progress I was making and the success. And I have a whole PowerPoint that I did on the impact that I was making, and it was really, really strange. And my numbers were good, so I don't know. Anyway, so the next thing is, I'm having this conversation with the Lord about, how that kind of is a shadow over me a little bit, in this sales. Think about it. If you lost your last sales job, even though it was kind of in an unfair and in a strange way that you can't really explain, if you lost that and then you came to another sales place, excuse me, then you could see how that would be a shadow over you and how it might drive you even harder. So someone who's a workaholic or might have that tendency, you could see how that would drive them almost crazy to work, almost to an insane level, right? Not to be too literal with the word insane. I just mean, too much. Well, that's what has been happening with me, is that I'm a natural hard worker. I'm naturally responsible. I'm a natural follow-up person. I complete tasks, and I'm creative. So when you mix up someone who's creative and someone who completes tasks and someone who's very responsible and who has a tinge of workaholism, that's a cocktail. Now throw onto that cocktail the fire of the last job mysteriously ended, and you don't have explanation for that. You can see how that would make you work harder, right? So anyway, and some people might say, oh, that's great, you're working harder, but to be honest with you, that's stupid. There's limits to that. I mean, you don't understand. You don't understand how it can be day and night, always thinking about it. It's not healthy for anybody. So in fact, my boss has told me to back off a little bit, my current boss, in that. So it gives you an example. So as I'm driving to this appointment last week, I'm having this conversation with the Lord in the car, and I'm saying, I am not trusting you. I'm doubting you as far as, taking care of me in this new job, and I don't remember all the exact words that I was talking to him about, but I was saying that, the reason, my motive and the reason I'm working so hard is because I feel like it's all up to me. And in the Christian life, it's a partnership. And you better work hard, you better take a responsibility, but you also work with God. And the Bible says to work as unto the Lord. And I just had this moment with God, and I just said, I'm so sorry that I'm glad I'm working hard in one way, but I'm so sorry in the other way that the reason I'm working hard is because I don't trust you, because I got let go of my last job. And so I went through the circumstances in my mind of that last situation, of that last job situation, and I interpreted those in a different way. And I said, what if God was working through that? What if God was working in that particular situation? And then I went to the next one, and what if, God, you must have been working through this situation. And I basically kind of walked through each situation in my mind, in prayer, out loud, that had happened to me, and I basically released God from my doubt. What I mean by that is I released him from me not trusting him. And I said, you must have been working for my good, because right now I have one of my best bosses ever. I have a great company that I work for, and things have been, heading in the right direction in this job. So, you must have been leading me to this company, and I wouldn't leave the last company because I just don't randomly leave. I tend to stay at places, and so you must have had to get me out of there. So I would be at the correct job. So I basically was, I walked through in this prayer time, and it was a real time of healing, I have to say, walking through those times and releasing God from any accusation that I had in my heart, because I kind of had an accusation against him. I kind of was holding it against him. Like, how could I trust you and this happened to me? And so I kind of was dealing with that accusation at each thing I could think about regarding leaving the prior company and then going to my last company, and then everything that happened there, and then having that end in a very strange way. So I just released him from that, and I just prayed, and I just committed to I sort of recommitted myself. One of the things about your Christian faith is that you'll constantly recommit yourself. That's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you're backsliding. It doesn't mean you're going to hell. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means that you recommit yourself to your spouse too. You recommit, yourself to lots of things, and that's you recommit yourself to working out, to taking vitamins. You have to recommit yourself in life. Life is not for passive consumption. Life is for active engagement. And so whether it be working out or doing your job or raising your kids or spending time with your children or whatever it may be, you have to recommit yourself to that all the time. So, that's what I was doing, and you'll find yourself doing that too. If you're going to grow in your faith, you're going to grow in your walk, it's going to have to be in a proactive, forceful type way, and using a little bit of discipline. So that's what my thing was, and I want to just tell you, I got a lot of healing and a lot of health and a lot of life out of that exercise of releasing God and committing to trust myself back in time in those memories, and just trusting God with each situation, and then committing myself to trust Him in the future. And I really feel like the Lord led me in that path of healing, and I'm feeling much better. And it's going to be something I'm going to, remind myself of. Like I said, recommit myself to all the time to stay healthy, to stay healed, and to keep appropriating that. So I hope that helps you today. 2 major lessons. First lesson, was really about the fact that no time you spent with the Lord is worthless. So have a devotional time. If you miss a day, re-engage. Like I said, it's all about recommitment. But no, if you're distracted, or if you have what you think is a bad devotional time, remember that no time you spent with the Lord is worthless. And then the second point is, you can really have times where you got hurt or something happened to you that crushed you, and you can go back into that memory in prayer with the Lord and talk about that with Him in a very frank and open way, in a very honest way, and work with Him and try to trust Him with those events, whatever that may be. Because I know a lot of people are hurting, a lot of people have been hurt, and it was a really great opportunity for me. I hope that will help you heal something in your past. And then I guess I kind of had a third thing out of today's outcome, which is that your process of walking with the Lord is a constant recommitment. So don't feel like you're backsliding, because I could say I'm backsliding from working out right now, because I haven't worked out for like a week, like 8 days. So I could say I'm backsliding, but I'm going to recommit myself hopefully tonight on that. So you're any good process that's productive and fruitful in your life, and especially a Christian faith, is worth your recommitment. So that's kind of the third lesson for today. So that's a long broadcast, but I wanted to share some thoughts on how to grow in the Lord, and those are some things that have been helping me lately. So with that, good luck. Take care.